Welcome back to another episode of Purpose. I'm your host, Corie Clark. Thanks so much for tuning in again this week, you guys. It feels so good to be back on the show, on a roll, bringing you new episodes every week. Super funny because over the last several weeks since I brought the podcast back, I've been releasing it on Wednesday because that's what I thought we did. I thought we did Wednesdays. And last week, my husband, Ryan, who does the editing and stuff, he was like, so you changed to Wednesdays? And I was like, what? He's like, well, you used to release your episodes on Tuesday. And I was like, oh, whoops. So we're going back to Tuesdays. Not that it really matters. I'm a huge fan of doing things your own way. And I don't think it's super important to be like obsessive about things in your business. But yes, we will be launching or releasing episodes on Tuesdays from this point forward. So anyways, you get your podcasts a day early now. So, yeah, I have like something really exciting that I can't wait to share with you guys. And I was gonna share it like on Instagram, and then I thought, no, I just don't want to leave anything out. And I don't really have like notes or anything planned, but I just had like the most amazing experience a couple weeks ago, like a week and a half ago. And we moved to Franklin, Tennessee in August of 2020. And obviously 2020 has all its own issues, right? But you know, it was hard. I had to cancel my live event, which I still want to put on. So maybe 2023? I don't know. There's just been so much going on. And if you've listened to my more recent episodes, I share a lot of that journey and how I just kind of had lots of ups and downs over the last couple of years. It was really hard for us to feel settled. And I think a lot of it had to do, now looking back, with in October 2020, I got COVID, and I mean, I was like fine. I wasn't horrible. It just felt like a flu, but I did lost my taste and smell like 100%. And it was gone for a while, and it started to come back, but it was very small, like in little small increments where it was like, okay, I can kind of taste this. But even up until a couple weeks ago, nothing tasted or smelled the same or as intense. And, you know, I had horrible brain fog over the last couple of years, and it almost felt like it was getting worse. I would be having conversations and just kind of like forget what I was saying or forget a word, and it was getting really frustrating. It was hard for me to even think about trying to go live in my coaching group and coach women when I felt very confused. For the most part, like no one would know. It wasn't anything super obvious. But even so, about a week and a half ago, it was a Thursday, I recorded my episode with Jen Perga. So the episode before this one you're listening to. And there's even a point in the episode, if you listen to it, where I kind of freeze and I'm like, I don't remember what I was going to ask you. And that has been the last couple years for me. And it's been very frustrating. And so I do think that had a lot to do with why I was struggling to show up in my business. And I even, we're kind of reworking how we offer my business program. So all the women who are in it right now, like I haven't even done anything in there. They've all been like taken care of and are part of what's coming, but I haven't been able to show up and serve. And that's been frustrating. And so over the last few months, we've been getting back into things and the book is launched. And it's just the first time I've been excited about my business and about helping other women. And just moving forward and following what God has called me to. But we went to our Connect group about a week and a half ago. Like I said, it was a Thursday. So that day I had like a brain fog moment in my interview with Jen. And that night we went to our co-group with our church, and we always start with like dinner and just conversation. And then we went into a time of prayer and communion and worship. And towards the end, we were praying for anybody who needed healing. Now, I had gotten so used to living with this that it never even crossed my mind anymore to ask for prayer. I would pray and ask God to heal me. And, there's been times at church where they've prayed for that kind of stuff, for mental clarity or brain fog or whatever. And so during those times, I'm always, raise my hand and want prayer for that. But it's just become such a part of like, oh, well, I guess this is just my life. And, I'm honestly okay with that. If that's what it was going to be, it was what it was going to be. I'm a firm believer in like, yes, like God is a God of miracles and I believe he can heal me, but I was also content in just waiting and seeing what he was doing. And so when we did that, I didn't even say anything. And I was praying for my friend next to me because she has some back issues. And there was a couple other people that said they needed prayer, but it literally never crossed my mind to ask my friends to pray for that. And so while I was praying for my friend's back, all of a sudden she puts her hand on my head and she starts praying for, first she said for headaches, which I really don't get headaches. I used to get migraines terribly, but I don't get headaches really anymore. And, but then she prayed for brain fog to be gone and for clarity of mind. And as soon as she said those two things, I felt like it was the craziest thing. I felt like there was water like rushing over my brain, like a river or a waterfall or something. Like I could feel like water rushing over my brain in my head. It was the craziest sensation. And then it got super warm. Like my brain, the inside of my head was super warm. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been healed. And so we finished up our time and I told her, and I was just like, I just didn't even think to ask, and she's like, I don't know, God just told me something with your brain and something with, clarity of mind. So anyways, I had to share this with you guys because, well, number one, to glorify God, like he healed me in that moment. And I am so grateful. Like my life is totally changed and I can think clearly and I'm having conversations and everything's fine. And my taste and smell is totally back to normal. Like I'm enjoying my food. Like Parker made chips and salsa the other night and like the salsa tasted so good. For the last 2 years, salsa hasn't even been that great to me. Like I still enjoy it, but it just hasn't been like, oh, it's so good. So I better be careful. I'm probably going to start putting on some pounds now. But anyways, so first of all, yes, number one is to give God the glory. I want people to know that God is still a God of miracles. He still heals. But number two, what the biggest lesson to me was I was just living with this. I was just letting it be part of my life. And, my question for you is like, what is part of your life that you're just like settling for? Maybe it is like a sickness or a disease or some sort of issue with your physical body, or maybe it's your finances and you're just telling yourself that same old story like, well, we're never going to get out of debt, so it doesn't matter. And we're never going to have this much money. We're never going to be able to go on this vacation because this is just the way it is. It's just the way it's always been, and it's just the way it's always going to be. Like, what are those things that you're just living with because you're okay, right? You're happy, you're content, you're not complaining or grumbling. But what are some of those things that you don't necessarily have to live with, that maybe it's not what God has for you. Maybe God does have healing for you. Maybe God does have, your business flourishing for you. Maybe God does have all these things for you, and you're forgetting to ask, because that's where I had gotten to. I had been forgetting to ask. And thank God my friend was listening and was prompted by the Holy Spirit to pray for me and to remind me that God does give us the things that we ask for. And I wanted to just remind you of this verse in Matthew 7:11, and it says, "If you then, who are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him?" So what is it that you have forgotten to ask for from God? Whether it's something that for your physical body, whether it's for your business, whether it's for your marriage or your relationship with your kids, there are so many things that we can just kind of get numb to and just learn to live with and deal with, that we forget that there is power that we have through the Holy Spirit to ask for these things, to pray for these things, to believe for these things, to hope for these things. And what would that do if you got those things? Like, how would it change your life? So for me, like, this wasn't, this horrible sickness. And I know so many people are praying and believing for those huge miracles. It did alter my life, though. It definitely changed my life over the last couple years. And it was very frustrating while I was going through it. I was frustrated because I would pray and just, like I have been given, because I'm a Christian, I've been given the mind of Christ, and I didn't feel like I had that because I felt so foggy and confused, and I just didn't feel myself. And so when this happened that night, it just completely turned my life around. And I was already starting to build this momentum, and it was kind of like this forced, like, I will be disciplined and I will do what God's asked me to do with my business and with my family and with this book and with the planner and with my coaching group. Like, I'm just going to show up and do it. So I was already starting those actions, but now I got the miracle, and it's causing everything to just flow. And I'm so grateful. And even if God took everything away, like if he was like, nope, you're done with your business, like, I don't even care. But that's, to me, where I see the evidence, because that's where I was struggling. And now it's this flow, and I'm hearing from God, and I'm understanding God, and I'm understanding like conversations I'm part of. It's just such a wild thing. So I literally, I was like, I'm not even going to record a podcast episode this week, like a normal one. I've just got to share this with people, because I believe that all of us have something that we're just living with, and we're not asking God to provide for us or to heal us or to show us, guide us, whatever it is that you're struggling with, that you've just kind of left there and you're just moving on with your life and just keeping that little thorn in your side. Like, ask God today to take it away, to heal it, to restore it, to redeem it, whatever it is you need. Ask for it in faith, and ask a friend to pray for you. If you don't know what to say, ask a friend to pray for you, to pray with you, and start to journal those things, write them down, and so that you can go back and say, look, I asked for God for this on this day. And then, maybe it happens today, right now, like while you're listening to this. Maybe it happens in a couple weeks. Maybe it happens in a year. Whatever it is, write it down today, what you're asking God for, so that you can, in turn, give God the glory when he does heal you, when he does provide for you. Because that's what this life is about glorifying God. And so there's no way I could just not share this with you guys. So many of you have been on this journey with me from day one, the highs and the lows and the drama over the last couple years. And this is just like such a beautiful gift from God. There's no way I could have kept it from you guys. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. And I pray that God gives you the miracles that you're believing for and asking for, and that you would have the courage and the hope to continue to ask for those things, even if it's secret and no one knows it's something that you want. Keep praying and asking and believing for God to provide those things for you. All right, you guys, that's it for this week. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And if you haven't yet, you still can jump in. We actually just started the Simplicity Challenge. So for those of you that have the Simplicity Project book, we already started the challenge as a community. If you don't have it yet, go to simplicityprojectbook.com. You can grab your book, and then you'll get an email with your bonuses and with a link to join our private community that's just for owners of the Simplicity Project. And we're going through a 28-day challenge together. It's the challenge that's inside the book. So super fun. We just kicked things off, so you're not too late to hop in. You can hop in anytime. And that is it. I'll see you guys next week on purpose.